this out just this month. Starvation, abuse, new details emerge about the horrors of Romania's communist-era orphanages. I've said the number one killer, I don't give a shit what the CDC or any expert says, the number one killer in the world is communism. More than 300,000 children were placed in Romania's network of orphanages, children's hospitals, and other facilities for youth between 54 and 89. So this special investigative committee was put together to look into this. This is a little bit about it. A special Romanian committee established to investigate the crimes of the era of dictator Nicolae Ceausescu. I listened to how to pronounce it. I'm doing the best I can there. Who ruled from 65 to 89, has determined that more than 15,000 minors, orphans, children with physical or mental disabilities, or those unwanted by their parents died in orphanages and other residential facilities. So, this is the reason why I know some people say, you just need to let it go. No, I won't, because I know how the kids were being treated. To me, I don't understand why people that have a heart just are like, you got to move on. I don't know. I'm just not built that way. I mean, I tried that, but yeah, it was kind of trying to do that after seeing the Northwestern CEO give Maryville, or give DCFS 24 hours to come get a 6-year-old out of the ER, and there was no emergent need to do that. Just told me, no, I don't want it. I mean, that's what's bothered me for so long, is that it's why I went to every lengths to try to get somebody to do something, but I didn't realize way back then it was so corrupt. But I'm not one of those people that can sit by. These are kids. They're kids that don't have a guardian. Their guardian is actually the abusers. According to the committee formerly known as the Institute for the Investigation of Crimes of Communism and the Memory of the Romanian Exile, many of the deaths were brought on by neglect, including starvation, even though they were not known to have serious illness when they were admitted. So I said one of the biggest things I saw, at least in the acute hospital, I know much worse things went on in the the orphanages, residentials, whatever you want to call them, but because I would hear it from the kids. But in the acute facility, what I saw was just basic neglect by the highest of people. So, and yeah, I don't think they wanted people that cared. I really don't. This whole idea that, they want to tell you what caring looks like. The very people that don't care are say these things. And then over time, there's more kids that are hurt, killed, abused in these systems. And so it's like, yeah, well, your model doesn't work. So maybe we need to try a different model, like one that's really about caring. Because I think you at least have to care to come up with a successful model of positive outcomes, that is. Rarely, if ever, was the welfare, let alone the health of the child, weighed when the authorities decided who was sent to one of the notorious facilities. Children from poorer families, many with relatively mild physical or mental health issues, were sent there. Even the children of relatively well-off Romanians were often not spared. Overall, the historian noted Romania's communist authorities were largely guided by a desire to terminate distinct social categories. That's the committee, the IICCMR, said the highest number of deaths was recorded at the notorious Sighid facility located, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but close to the border of Hungary, where it determined that 138 children had died between 87 and 90. During that time, only 183 children had been admitted, the Institute noted. 183 and 83 admitted, and 138 children died. So do you understand why I just, when I say I can't let it go, it's like, no, how can anybody that has a caring heart or is a Christian believer, no less, not want to make this a priority? Because we have a problem in our DCFS system in this country, in every state. Romanian service documents relating to the children's home, which operated for just 30 months between 87 and 89. The residential home was set up because the facilities in the region treating sick children were already full. Documents show that of the 138 children who died there, 84 were 3 years old. 84 were 3 years old. The minimum age when they could legally be taken from their families. The most common reported cause of death was bronchopneumonia, a type of pneumonia that affects the bronchi in the lungs. Because there was a veritable cult of cutting back on unproductive spending, and these children, by being labeled as irredeemable, meant that they required long-term assistance throughout their lives, and consequently they could never be useful members of the Socialist Society. Yes, that's what it all comes down to. You're a workhorse. And if you're not, doesn't matter what age you are, even if you're 3, they'll kill you. You know how many people that see these kids in the Department of Family Services system as irredeemable? And some maybe, yeah, some have been so far gone because nobody was there to help them. But instead, we have a whole, system that likes to tell people, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't help people? Yeah, but you don't have a good track record, and you're the very damn same people that have been hurting people, that are neglecting kids at the very least. Those are the same people. That's all the top. That's who comes out with all this stuff. I've said for years, it's like this. Some of the stuff I read in psych, it's like, do you really want to help people? And I'm not talking about the medications. In particular, I'm talking about here. Many of these kids, especially in our country, these are behavioral issue kids, and they're putting all these kids on all these damn antipsychotics, okay? Because they don't want to bother to teach their staff to just care about people. If that's going to bring positive outcomes, isn't that what should be most important? I think so. In October 2022, the committee concluded that more than 15,000 minors died at the 26 facilities across communist-era Romania for disabled and mentally ill children between 67 and 90, when the institutions were shut down. According to the committee report, among the reasons for the thousands of deaths were starvation, improper living conditions, abuse, and a lack of medical care, and a lack of love. If you jump down, I'm not going to start at the top, where it says, in many cases, it appears that children were singled out to help finance the residential facilities, with state authorities requesting that parents pay for their children's treatment. The fall of communism in Romania decades ago lifted the lid on the country's infamous network of orphanages, shocking the world with images of dirty and undeferred children, most dressed in rags, crammed in filthy wards, some of them chained to beds. And that's, I guess I went backwards a little bit there. That was the beginning. I don't care if you're a nurse. I don't care who you are. If you can't care about that. And yet the people that back then, because communist socialists run these systems, they didn't care. And I've seen those people. So you know what? We need more people that care. Stop with the experts. The experts don't lead to positive outcomes. Most definitely not in this area.